I am just so excited to dive into this topic today. This event is all about all of us learning how you can sell your business for maximum value in this increasingly complex market. Amen. A core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you and all of your journeys. And these intimate educational sessions are just always filled with so many insights, and they're thanks to you all and your fellow members. They're just the perfect opportunity for us all to up-level together. So before we officially begin, I'm just going to dive in and share a bit of background on our esteemed expert, Christine. So Christine McDannell is the founder and principal business intermediary of the Magnolia firm. They're an M&A brokerage firm helping digital business owners achieve the perfect exit. Since its inception, Christine's firm has helped countless entrepreneurs make the satisfying leap from business ownership to a successful exit, all without compromising their values or dream outcome. After founding, growing, acquiring, and selling more than 20 of her own companies across several verticals, including cleaning, wellness, beauty, technology, exotic cars, and real estate, Christine realized that there was a formula behind the perfect exit, and now she specializes in helping others do the same. Some of her proudest achievements include creating over 200 jobs throughout her businesses since 2003, as well as enjoying a private breakfast with her inspiration, Richard Branson, in Paris, honoring her contributions to the Virgin Unite Foundation. It's amazing. Christine has been recognized with numerous awards throughout the years, including the Small Business Administration's Business Person of the Year in 2009 and Entrepreneur Magazine's 100 Most Brilliant Companies in 2010. With all of that amazingness, I'm going to hand it over to you, Christine. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we're incredibly grateful to you for investing in Dreamers and Doers in this way. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Nicole. And hello, everybody. I was telling Nicole before we got started, it's nice to be a female in this space because there's not enough of us. I'll show you my presentation. There's a lot of broker bobs that we kind of don't really compete against, but it's fun to work mainly with women, helping them exit. So we will launch in. I've got a presentation because I know people are visual. So let me share my screen. And here we go. Everybody can see my screen, right? Hands up. Okay, cool. So let's see here. And thanks for having me. I think it's amazing. The group of women you guys have is incredible. It's supportive. I already can see that. So excited, you guys. I think it's what helps you guys kind of take your business to the next level. So let's launch in. So we just had a big introduction, so you guys know who I am. And again, I had fun putting this together for all of you and put some fun stats in here about women business owners. So there are now, 40% of companies are owned by women, which is so magical. You guys, I started in 2003, it's 23 years old. And I kid you not, and I'll never forget it, how many men said, oh, who's your business partner? What's his name? And I'm like, well, I don't have a business partner. And they're like, oh my God, so it's just you owning this company? You're a girl. And it's just it just caught me off guard every single time. Now that's unheard of these days. And as you can see, almost half companies are owned by females. We're generating 1.3 trillion per year collectively. There's I'm in the game for 20 years. So now there's 114% more than there was back when I started. So that's a big difference. And here's where I started. Here's my little grassroots back in the day. Again, I was 23. I had no money. I had a ton of credit card debt. I was in real estate already. So I actually had a great career. I had my real estate license already. And I was just like, look, I've been born to be an entrepreneur. I just knew that my whole life. I girl with the candy bar sales and all this stuff, my whole life trying to, sell stuff and have little businesses. So Christine's cleaning service was the first. I started with $300 because that's pretty much all I had at the time. And I cleaned, as you can see me on the left, every single day for a year and a half. I bartended at night to pay my bills. and you could see what little prices we charged back then. And I put these little flyers, you know, in the, these are when the high rises were being built in downtown San Diego. So I would like, you know, put these flyers on everybody's doors in the new condo buildings. And then on the right, obviously we started expanding. You know, Deanna, the person right next to me, was a manager. I was now the owner, and I worked my way out of the job, kind of like, you know, Michael Gerber teaches, you don't want to be the technician. You want to work your way out of that position. And then we exited 6 years afterwards. We were the largest privately owned. I think I had about over 35 women working with me. And it was always all my companies. A lot of them are mostly women I work with, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to go over all this because there's so many. There's like 2 slides on it. I even started a business earlier, 1999, but I was like 18, with a boyfriend. There's actually a common theme. There's a few companies here that actually I gave or got bought out by boyfriends. So I learned 3 times not to start businesses with boyfriends. And yeah, so I've kind of built and sold a lot of really different rad companies where I think of these crazy ideas. Eco Chateau was my largest exit, 2017. Again, about 37 women I worked alongside of, 2 locations, built it from scratch, and amazed. That was probably, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I'd say that that was definitely a favorite business of mine. And now we flash forward to 2021 October, where I launched the Magnolia firm, which is what I do now. And these are, if you guys want to, you know, if you have a chance, go to our Instagram for Magnolia Firm. I play a character called Broker Bob. It's literally, I dress up as an old man, and I literally repeat stuff that I've heard from these guys at conferences or webinars, and it just blows my mind. So I play this fun character on social again. So, you know, I definitely look different in the directories than these guys do. And I think that's why I attract, you know, mostly women. We have guys as clients too, obviously. And I, you know, everybody watching, I think so many people feel guilty for not having an exit strategy. Of course, I'm going to give you tips and tricks, and feel free to take notes. And I know this is being recorded, and I try not to talk too fast, but don't feel guilty. I've never had an exit strategy on any business. To me, it's just, I just know when the time is right. I feel it in my gut. And us women have, you know, intuition, and so we can listen to our gut. Most people do, and then people are going to make you feel guilty of like, why don't you have an exit strategy? And it's like, I mean, again, if you want to have that, have it a little bit down the road. For me, again, it's usually about a 5-year plan. Even though I don't have a plan, it just happens to be 5 years is when I'm ready to sell, mainly because all the chaos is done by then. I've got systems and processes and reputation, and I've got managers in place. And at that point, they don't really need me much. I'm just doing marketing, and then I get bored, and then I want chaos of startups. I do it over again, which is like, I don't think most people want to do that part, but for me, I just go off. I don't have a dollar amount ever, and I don't have a date on when I want to exit. It's just a feeling. Again, that's for me. And we didn't have an entrance strategy. That's what's funny too, right? We didn't have this map. Most of us did not have a long plan of like, I'm going to start a business in a year, and this is how I'm going to start the business. Usually it's just either we fall into it or we just jump into it. Either way, you know, I can't imagine, you know, entrepreneurs just have this thing of not planning and they just go for it. And I think that's what makes people successful, is they don't, you know, get paralyzed by planning. Now, I would say the number one, by far, most important part of your business is reputation. Like, you want to do whatever it takes to have a sparkling reputation. The amount of, you know, massages and services, cleanings throughout the years I've comped, not a lot, luckily, because we had a great team, but I will not hesitate. If I think they're going to write a bad review, I'm going to comp them immediately, because that's the part that's hard to fix. And so Eco Chateau, I'm going to use as an example and kind of deep dive on the reputation side. We were ranked best spa in San Diego. We had incredible, like 5-star reviews on a spa, that many reviews. We ran, and I'd love for you guys to make a note. And again, it's industry specific. It depends on what you do, but there are really cool softwares now of like, and you girls have probably seen them where it'll text you and be like, from a scale from 1 to 10, how was your service? And you put a 10 or whatnot, that's actually being calculated for the business as their promoter score, which is huge. So if they're, again, it's mostly service-based. If you're in a service-based business, I know you can get software for this. And you just, 85%, I had 2 locations, so 85, 83. And then, so again, it's showing you how loyal customers are to a company, and how likely they are to actually refer you to other people. And let's see here, anything above 50% is excellent. So definitely try to get up in that range. Again, we were like over 80 was super impressive. Again, my team, they were all A players and they're driven and they'll bend over backwards. I kind of said it's like Nordstrom, provide this Nordstrom experience for people. Now my Gen Z employees tell me, they're like, Christine, nobody knows what that means now. Like, I'm like, okay, well, back in the day, that meant amazing customer service, right? Nordstrom provided that. And so, again, this is kind of diving in a little deeper on your scores, right? Passive people, 9 to 10 are just like your raving fans and they're going to tell everybody about you. And referrals is like the best way to get clients. It's the cheapest way and it's the best way. Now, number 2, cash flow, super important. The profit. Now, in the first couple of years, that's not possible. You're reinvesting to grow the company. We get it. That's usually the first 2 to 3 years. But then after that, things are getting stabilized and you want to make sure you're not, wasting money, just kind of print your P&L. You guys are always welcome to send it to me. I actually geek out on looking at someone's P&L and just like cutting the fat. So feel free to do that if you need to. But this is very important, is that cash flow. Now let's talk about add backs also. You guys can run things. Again, I'm not an accountant or a CPA, but of course you're going to run personal things to the business. Like that's what we all do. Your car, your insurance, whatnot. But it is add backs at the end of the day. So when you go to sell, we're going to take that net profit on your P&L, your profit and loss, and then we're going to add back all the stuff you're running through the business, stuff that people don't even consider. It's like Amazon, sometimes you put Amazon orders and you put them with their business card. There's a lot, and we do have a list if you ever need that, of like all the potential add backs, things that you might not even like remember or think about. Number 3, your team. So the more loyal, the longer your team stays, the happier they are. This makes for an incredible exit, right? You can't tell them until the day you sell, which is very, it's hard. It's the hardest thing for me to do, is tell my team the day of, because I'm always so transparent with them. And then during the entire escrow, I can't say anything. Sometimes a buyer will actually need to, and it'll be towards the end of due diligence, before the closing, they will maybe need to talk with your key employee, whether it's a manager or somebody else. They will have to talk to them. Sometimes you could position that. Actually, what I do is I position it as a consultant or a potential investor. Hey, I've got this consultant on board, like they want to interview. Hey, I've got a potential investor, they'd love to sit with you and ask some questions. So that's kind of the workaround. You don't want word getting out that you're selling for a multitude of reasons. And unfortunately, I've had bad experiences myself, not with my clients. Luckily, I've learned all the hard lessons. So when I help my clients, I know what not to do. So yeah, just keeping your guys' team happy, keeping them with you, keeping them loyal. And then again, that buyer is typically almost all my transactions with my clients. The buyers, of course, are going to keep them on. They're not going to fix what's not broken. And we're really excited and we're proud of finding amazing buyers. So we're going to know, before they even buy the company, like, are they going to wipe out the team? My owner doesn't want that. Like, you can't just come in and fire everybody. Luckily, that has not happened. So that's just stuff to consider in the back of your head. Why having, a great team is the gold standard. I think we just talked about that. Like, that's just across the board. It makes life so much easier. other value adds that were, so of course we're going to take your, you guys hear the verbiage of like, oh, it's 3x your EBITDA, like that's the exit price, or it's, 1x revenue. You kind of hear this verbiage. And again, I think other advisors and business intermediaries, broker bobs are lazy. Like they're going to tell you that's what your company's worth. That is not true at all. My favorite saying is a company is worth what someone's willing to pay. And that's true. You cannot argue that. But these are the other value adds that you guys want to keep in mind and make note of stacking on top. Of course, that's a baseline. We're going to take your net profit. That's that multiple. We're going to use that as kind of a baseline to start from. So that is very important, that number. I'm not going to lie about that part, but then we could boost your multiple up from there based on like, are you guys getting media? Have you gotten awards, press? Any, podcast interviews? Do you have an org chart? Do you have SOPs or a playbook in place and amazing systems that someone could just step in and take over? Are you growing? So growing is amazing. That's like all of our listings are like A++ listings. These are super profitable, owner only working about 10 hours a week, 15 hours. That's ideal because you don't want the company wrapped around you. If you guys are working 60, 70 hours a week still, probably not ready to sell. You want to delegate more, or you're going to have an earn out, meaning that acquirer is going to want you to stay on for a few years until they kind of work you out of the company. And those are not ideal. Everybody make note. And I don't think we've done an earn out yet with a single client. A lot of my friends have had earnouts 2 to 4 years. You're literally having somebody come in. They're now your boss. They're changing everything in your company. You can't say anything about it. They're not fun and they're not ideal. So let's just try not to do that. Try to strip yourself out to where an earnout is not needed. I mean, if you're working 10 hours a week, like you don't need to stick around. You're just going to train them. So growing revenue, all our clients have growing revenue. So that helps bump that multiple up. Any trademarks, any domain names, we're going to add some value to those. Years in business. I mean, you don't want to sell, you need to be in business at least 2 years for sure before you exit. Size of your database, email open rates. So just all these little value adds. And again, the big one, which isn't on here, is you just not being such an important part of your business. Again, if it's wrapped around you, we start stripping, we've had owners where their face is all over the homepage, like, and we're like, no, like, let's take you off the homepage. And, they've published a book, which this is kind of interesting hack, only because I've published books myself, is to offer any buyer. So they're like, oh, well, she's an expert in the space and she wrote a book on it. It's like, hey, Mr. Buyer, like, guess what? We can actually have you guys do a revision on the book, like a second edition. And we're going to put you guys as co-authors. So now you're going to have immediate credibility in this space. And you and my seller are just going to fix the book and update the book. So that's a nice hack if you girls do have. Same goes for online. If you guys have online courses as part of your business, that's something I'm working with somebody else on doing, where the buyer can kind of we're going to have to redo part of the course because my seller is like, there's no way I'm refilming the whole thing. So I said, hey, buyer can kind of like record some modules and we could put that in so that you're both kind of in there and we're like fading you out. Okay, so now let's go into advice when you do make this big decision to sell. And before I forget, and again, LinkedIn is the best way. On the last screen, I'm going to put how you guys can contact me. But, so I don't forget, I'm going to mention it now. She's here in San Diego. Nancy, I've worked with her personally for like 3 years. A lot of women, I was selling their businesses. Some of them were dear friends of mine. One of them had it for 20 years and she had like 80 employees and she couldn't wait until the day she sold. She's like, I'm so stressed out. The employees are driving me nuts, etc. 20 years in business. And it happened like clockwork with all the businesses I was selling. Mostly they were all women. A month afterwards, they started getting sad and depressed and like their purpose was gone. And I'm like, what is going on? They were so excited to sell and now they have all this money. And yeah, I spoke with Nancy, and again, she has PhD and she's brilliant. And she goes, it's because they didn't grieve their business. She's like, You literally had your life was wrapped up in it for 20 years. You had all these people reporting to you and kind of answering to you and putting you on this big pedestal. And that's all gone. Boom, gone. And that's what's happening. These women didn't grieve their businesses. So again, reach out to me. She made a video. It's like 5 minutes that I share all the time. She made it specific to this. I'm like, Nancy, can you words of wisdom and can you coach women through this in a video and kind of break it down on what they need to do? And so I actually give this video during transaction. And it's funny, I have one in transaction right now. And she's like, well, I don't want to jinx my transaction. I'll watch it right when it closes next month. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'm like, you just got to be prepared. And she's like, there's no way I'm going to be upset. I can't wait to sell my business. I'm ready to retire. I'm stressed out. Same exact verbiage. And so I'm like, I'm telling you, you're going to be shocked, but you might get sad a month afterwards. So just watch the little video after it closes and let's not jinx it. So let's see. Perfect time to sell. It is a seller's market. Don't let the media scare you. Don't let the word recession scare you. If you have a profitable business right now, and again, the key word is profitable. If you don't, then no, those are hard to sell right now. If you're profitable, people are buying these businesses up. The reason being, during COVID, people got taste of freedom, corporate life. They loved it. Freedom, work from home. Now, boom, I have to go back to the office, back to the corporate grind, and I'm over it. So they're going and getting SBA loans, which have favorable financing terms right now. They're pulling a second mortgage on their home. They're pulling from their 401k in order to purchase a cash flowing business, right? A business that's already going to replace their current salary typically. And they're excited to do so. And the majority of our buyers are first-time buyers coming out of corporate, which I love. I love seeing that. So that's why it is still seller's market and has been for a while. But this like just kept it going. The COVID thing and the great resignation that was happening, and then the favorable financing terms, and just more people want to create and control their destiny. We love manifest. And again, I know this crew and this group is down with the woo-woo stuff, but we have the guys do this too. We want to know, like, what is their dream sale? You know, what's their dream life? Like, what are you guys trying to do for the long term? What is, I'm really big on manifestation. I'm big on goal setting, visualization, but you definitely have to put it, in writing, so the universe can kind of conspire to get you there. And how will selling your business help you achieve that dream life? When is that sale date? And again, it could be in the future. It doesn't have to be right now. And just an affirmation that you want to say kind of daily. I'm manifesting my dream sale with these exact attributes directly into my reality. And the more detailed you can be, the better. Detailed about what you want that exit to look like, who you want to buy the business. Like, the more you can write out on that, the easier it is to make it a reality. And this is a little worksheet that, again, you can reach out to us and we're happy to send it to you. Okay, 5. Let me check the time. Okay, we're good. And I am going to leave time for Q&A for sure. 5 core beliefs. These are my 5 core beliefs that I came up with. Again, I already told you this one. It's worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So we already went over this. Time kills all deals. Oh my gosh, I have so many stories. Luckily, knock on wood, none of my transactions, but I have heard of too many deals falling through the day before, like the day before the Ukrainian war started, the day before COVID. Again, we did not, luckily that hasn't happened, but that's because I act like Armageddon is going to happen tomorrow. It drives my business partner nuts. I am like, my pants are on fire. Get us this stuff right now. Like, a bomb could go off tomorrow. Like, I give them, and there's been so many recent Black Swan events. What's funny was I was saying there could be a war tomorrow. There could be this. And I was using the war example like a year and a half ago. And then like this war, Ukraine and Russia. So COVID, so many. So I'm like, we got to move, like, guys, like ASAP, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, get me everything we need so we could go to market as quick as we can, so we could get an offer, so we can have a fast close, so I can get the money wired in your account, like move, 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 move. My team knows that. Time kills all deals. Like, I'm on a big vacation next week, and I made sure I have internet, which is hard to get out there. I'm on Starlink just to make sure my deals are moving forward, which is fine. Like, again, I don't want to waste any time on those. this one's big. This is I've ran some marathons, and this is my good analogy of like, this is literally, you just ran 23 miles with your business, from start to where you're at right now. And you got 3 miles to go and you got to sprint them. That's what selling your business is. It's work. I mean, it's honestly equivalent to starting your business was all that amount of work and time. Is this like last part? I need you to crank up the revenue. Like, of course, the Magnolia firm takes a lot off your plate and we're doing the transaction and we're not bothering you, but you need to grow. And that's why I tell my sellers, focus on putting the pedal to the metal and grow as much as you can while it's listed. Because this is a great example. If we could push 20K to your bottom line, your profit, it's $60,000 more cash in your pocket. Like, that's a great example. That's why it's important. And it has more value than you think it does. And I just had another, and it's always women. It's so sad. So men always overvalue their business. So they come to me, oh, I want multi-millions. And then women don't think their business is worth anything or very little. It's happened time and time again. Even a girlfriend of mine, we're at brunch, and this is right when I started my firm. And she said, oh, I'm going to shut down my business. PR firm, 20 years in business, huge clients. She's like, I'm too busy. It's going downhill. I'm shutting it down. I was like, Sarah, I know I can get you $300,000. I just know it without even looking. And we got her 300,000 cash within a couple months, and she was blown away. And again, I mean, you guys are in the weeds, you're stressed out, you just don't know the worth. And I love having those conversations because I can see it from the outside in of like, wait a minute, your reputation, wait a minute, this client list is gold. Like, wait, your team's been there forever. Like, why would you close it down? Another example, we close escrow next month, a graphic design firm. She was going to give it to her employee. Somebody happened to tell her just to talk to me real quick. I talk with her and I'm like, I know I could get 200,000 for you. And again, this is better than nothing. She was going to give it to an employee and we valued it 220,000. We got her an offer within 2 weeks, all cash, closes next month. So I have a ton of those stories, but it breaks my heart when the women, they're like, I don't think my company's worth anything. Buyers pay for the past, but they buy for the future. So of course they're paying for stuff you've already established, including that profit, but we also are great, sales and marketers. And again, I see it from the inside out. So I can see value that you've never seen, like little gems. And most of our transactions, especially women, they get all excited. They're like, oh, you got me excited about my company again. And like, because I just pulled out everything that they built that they should be so proud of, but they just didn't see that in the weeds. And so they get all excited and, happy about what they built. When we pull all those gems out and we can build upon those of like, okay, Mrs. Buyer, Mr. Buyer. Well, most of our buyers are men, to be honest. Actually, I think almost every single one. There was a husband and wife. So most of the buyers are men. So yeah, we tell them, look at the opportunities for growth. Look what you could do in the future. And so some of the value is built upon that also. Financials. We talked about profit and loss. Past, we can even do 3 years. Ideally is what we want to see. Trailing 12, which is the last 12 months coming up to recent time of your P&L. We're going to look at that. Balance sheet. We talked about add backs. The tax returns, obviously. And then the calculations. So again, we do this for our clients. Let's talk about this too, real quick. Don't be embarrassed if you don't know your numbers. Nobody does. Especially in the first few years, and myself included, right? Like I time and time again, even men and women are like, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know my numbers, or like I have a bookkeeper, like I don't look at my numbers. I can't even tell you what my profit is. And so don't worry about that. And we love coaching our clients through it. And what reports we need. And then we just kind of do it on our end from the reports and from the bookkeeper, what they can get us. Okay. So steps: define your dream sale. We kind of give you the workshop or the worksheet on that, remove yourself from operations, hire somebody to replace you. Make sure you have SOPs, so standard operating procedures for your business. Let's see here, transferable lead sources. your sales team, your paid traffic. Like if that's on autopilot, people love that. And that's easy. If you're using agencies, that's easy to transfer over. Optimize for profit, dream acquires, and build your army of advisors. I'm a huge advocate for business coaches, business consultants. Like I've had them throughout all the years. It's so helpful. So let's see here. Don't get scammed. Make sure you have good partners on your end too while you're building your business. Great accountant, lawyer. Those are the two things I won't ever go cheap on ever. Like I want a good accountant, I want a good lawyer. And then the intermediary is really all you need for this transaction. And the lawyer is the lawyer you need for a review of the purchase agreement, but not any other part of the transaction. The intermediary does. Like what we do is pretty much everything. The only time my seller needs a lawyer is to review that purchase agreement. And then interview a lot of advisors and brokers. Get referrals ideally, but what's funny is very few of us know people that have successfully exited their company. It's kind of funny. So it's not like, so referrals are a little harder to get. You guys probably haven't seen, friends go through the experience yet. And, exit planning, just kind of high level general. Again, I'd rather you guys spend energy and time growing, versus like a massive exit plan, unless you're getting close to it. Then you could start dialing it a bit more. And then there we go. I saved time for questions, which I'm glad. I think I saw a couple chat things come through. Again, I am great on LinkedIn. So if you ever want to message me there, go for it. Otherwise, my firm, that is our call. You could call or text. That's a company name. But here's a hack for everybody. So the phone system rings and texts like my entire team, including myself. And so that's, again, depending on your industry, I'm not sure of everybody's industry that is on here. Make it easy for you guys to get contacted or for your business to get contacted in different manners. And even at my spa, we did this. Make sure, can they text you? Can they call you? Can they email you? Can they hit you up on DM? The more ways you give customers to contact you, the better it is. Like I know, especially text messaging, that's huge. So we do that a lot in our firm. And I think that's it. So I will stop. Hopefully you guys got my contact info and I'll stop sharing.
Hey, thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. And thank you all for showing up. It was great to see you all, and have a wonderful rest of your week.